The screen in front of me still showed $47,850.16 when Mr. Cole said the word frozen. He didn't say it immediately. First, he adjusted the file so it aligned perfectly with the edge of his desk. Then he glanced once at the glass wall behind me, where the branch lobby moved in soft reflection. A teller laughed at something I couldn't hear. The printer near the counter clicked twice. Then he said it. As of 9:12 a.m. this morning, Mrs. Whitmore, your primary checking account has been frozen pending review. The word landed without emphasis. Frozen. The air in the office felt recycled, slightly cooler than the lobby. I noticed the second hand on the wall clock. 9:14. The balance on the screen did not change. $47,850.16. Ethan stood beside me, one hand resting on the back of the chair. My mother, Diane, sat to my right, handbag clasped in both hands. I'd like to understand the basis, I said. Mr. Raymond Cole, senior risk officer, folded his hands. His tone remained neutral, procedural. Over the past 90 days, we identified 11 cash withdrawals ranging between $9,640 and $9,850. Additionally, there was an outgoing wire transfer of $18,400 on March 14th. The pattern triggered an internal threshold alert. Ethan shifted slightly. That can't be right. Claire handles the finances. Mr. Cole didn't look at him. His attention stayed on me. The withdrawals occurred between January 6th and March 29th. 3 separate branches, all in person. 3 branches. I let the information settle without reacting. I did not make 11 cash withdrawals, I said. He inclined his head. This is a review, not an accusation. However, the clustering behavior aligns with structured reporting concerns. He slid a single-page summary toward me. January 6th, $9,720. January 18th, $9,850. February 2nd, $9,640. February 14th, $9,800. March 1st, $9,750. March 14th, $18,400 wire. March 29th, $9,820. 4 additional withdrawals followed beneath, each within a narrow range. The numbers were precise, not rounded, not accidental. My mother leaned closer. Claire, is this connected to the renovation funds? That transfer cleared in December, I said quietly. $22,500 through escrow. Mr. Cole confirmed with a slight nod. This review concerns only the transactions listed here. Only? My mother asked. For now, he replied. Ethan's hand tightened slightly on the chair. What exactly is frozen? Outgoing transfers, debit transactions, online bill pay. Incoming deposits remain permitted. Standard review window is 7 to 14 business days. And the wire? I asked. It cleared to Whitmore Logistics, LLC. Ethan's company. He answered calmly. That was operating capital. Claire authorized it. I did not contradict him. Instead, I looked back at the page. All 11 withdrawals were below $10,000. None at $10,100. None at $8,200. The second hand on the clock ticked to 9:16. I'll need full documentation of each flagged transaction, I said. That will be available through the secure portal by end of business, Mr. Cole replied, and the digital authorization history tied to this account. There was the smallest pause. That would require a formal request. Then I am formally requesting it. Ethan glanced at me. Claire, let's just see what they send first. His voice was even, reasonable. I nodded once but didn't withdraw the request. Mr. Cole turned a page in his file. There was also an access modification dated April 2nd of last year. 11:43 p.m., digital submission from a verified residential IP address. Confirmation completed at 11:49 p.m. I kept my expression neutral. Who initiated it? I asked. Submission came from a recognized household device. Verification used a secondary email token. Secondary email. I did not use a secondary email for banking. Ethan answered before I could respond. We update security settings periodically. I turned toward him. We were in Charleston on April 2nd, I said. There was a brief silence. He met my eyes. That trip was early April. I don't remember the exact date. His answer came quickly. Not defensive, just certain. I let the silence stretch 1 second longer than necessary. Mr. Cole did not intervene. Outside the glass wall, a customer approached the teller window with a stack of checks. Normal movement, ordinary morning. Inside, $47,850.16 remained inaccessible. Is there anything else I should expect? I asked. If linkage is established, Mr. Cole said carefully, related profiles may undergo review. Related how? My mother asked. Shared address, shared devices, shared beneficiaries. Ethan exhaled softly through his nose. Not irritation, not agreement, just breath. We've banked here 17 years, my mother added. Yes, Mr. Cole said, and that history is part of the review. History was data, not protection. The meeting concluded at 9:37 a.m. We walked through the lobby together. The security guard held the door open. Sunlight from the parking lot felt brighter than before. Inside the car, Ethan started the engine but didn't pull out immediately. It's probably automated, he said. These compliance systems overcorrect. Maybe, I replied. He nodded once, as if that settled it. My mother adjusted her seatbelt. This won't affect me, right? No one said that, Ethan answered quickly. They're reviewing Claire's account. For now, I thought. At 10:12 a.m., my phone vibrated. Subject, compliance review, case number 88431-CT. I did not open it. Instead, I opened my calendar and scrolled back to April 2nd of last year. Flight confirmation, Newark to Charleston, 6:40 p.m. Hotel check-in timestamp, 9:58 p.m. Restaurant charge, $142.67 at 8:12 p.m. At 11:43 p.m., according to the bank, a digital modification had been submitted from our home IP address. I closed the calendar. When we reached the house at 10:46 a.m., Ethan went to his office. The door closed with a soft click. My mother remained in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone. I opened my banking app again. $47,850.16, account restricted. Review in progress. At 1:27 p.m., a second notification appeared. Account monitoring update. Linked profile review. Pending. Linked profile. I looked toward the kitchen. My mother's address had matched mine since June 3rd, when she moved in temporarily after selling her condo for $312,000. Temporary arrangements often last longer than expected. At 2:58 p.m., the secure portal alert arrived. I waited 5 full minutes before opening it. The document listed each withdrawal with branch ID numbers, timestamps down to the minute, and teller codes. January 6th, 2:14 p.m., branch 1147, January 18th, 11:32 a.m., branch 2210, February 2, 3:08 p.m., branch 1147. 3 different locations across 26 miles, all in person. At the bottom of the report, device, ID, HME-4472-A, X authorization, confirmed, 11:49 p.m., April 2, verification method, secondary email token. I read that line twice. Secondary email token. The kitchen faucet turned on briefly, then off again. In the office down the hall, I heard Ethan's chair move. I closed the laptop without printing the document. Outside, the afternoon light shifted slowly across the hardwood floor. Inside the system, 90 days of transactions were under review, 11 withdrawals, 1 wire, 1 digital modification, and now 1 linked profile pending. The balance still showed $47,850.16, unmoved, frozen, for now. 3 days later, they froze my mother. The notification came at 8:42 a.m. I was standing at the kitchen counter when her phone vibrated twice in quick succession. She glanced at the screen, frowned slightly, then looked at me. Claire, why would my savings account say restricted? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I checked my own email. Subject, linked profile status update, case number 88431-CT. I opened it. Effective 8:31 a.m., Diane Whitmore, savings account ending in 7714, temporarily restricted pending extended review. The extension window read, 21 business days, longer than mine. My mother lowered herself into the chair slowly. This has to be a mistake. Ethan entered the kitchen at that exact moment, already dressed for work. What happened? They froze Mom's account, I said. He blinked once. Why would they do that? Shared address, shared beneficiary history, possibly shared device. That's absurd, he replied, but his tone remained controlled. Not angry, not defensive, just measured. My mother's voice tightened. I haven't withdrawn anything unusual. I know, I said. Her balance wasn't large, approximately $62,300 from her condo sale, minus recent medical payments. She didn't handle cash often. She used checks, occasionally debit. At 9:10 a.m., her phone rang. Unknown number, local area code. She answered. Yes. This is Diane Whitmore. Yes, I received the notice. Structured withdrawals? No. No, I haven't. Her eyes shifted toward me. Yes, Claire is here. She handed me the phone. This is Lena Brooks from Compliance Investigations, the woman said calmly. Mrs. Whitmore, your mother's account shows 2 internal transfers totaling $14,600 into your primary checking between January and February. We are verifying whether she was aware of the transaction pattern under review. I was aware of the transfers, I said. They were reimbursements. For what purpose? Home repairs? HVAC replacement? Documented. There was typing on the other end. Did Mrs. Whitmore authorize digital access sharing on April 2nd of last year? My pulse did not change, but I felt something narrow slightly in my chest. What type of sharing? I asked. Device authentication expansion, secondary email token addition. That question would be better answered with documentation, I replied evenly. A short pause. Understood. We will be requesting signed confirmation forms from both of you. The call ended at 9:18 a.m. Ethan poured coffee and leaned against the counter. They're digging now. Yes, I said. He watched me for a moment. This is what I meant about not escalating too fast. I met his eyes. I requested documentation. That's escalation in their system. My mother's hands were shaking slightly. She placed them flat on the table to steady them. I signed something last year, she said suddenly. Both of us looked at her. What did you sign? I asked. I don't know exactly. It was after the move. Something about emergency access. You were busy that week. What date? I asked. Early April, I think. April 2nd. Ethan straightened slightly. Mom, it was probably routine. Banks update digital policies all the time. She nodded, but uncertainty remained in her expression. I walked to my office and opened the secure portal again. A new document had been uploaded at 7:58 a.m., title, Beneficiary and Access Authorization, Addendum. 17 pages. Page 4 contained a signature line under Diane Whitmore's name. The signature resembled hers, but the slant was off by a few degrees. The pressure variation looked inconsistent. I did not say that aloud. Instead, I noted the timestamp, submitted 11:43 p.m., April 2nd, verified 11:49 p.m., 6-minute verification window, rapid, too rapid. At 11:12 a.m., another update arrived. Extended monitoring flag, joint exposure review activated, joint exposure. The number attached to that line read, $125,320 potential liability cluster. That figure was higher than my account balance, higher than my mother's. It likely included Ethan's business sub-account. I did not react outwardly. At noon, Ethan left for a meeting. Before walking out, he paused near my desk. They'll sort it out, he said. Just don't assume the worst. I'm not assuming, I replied. He hesitated half a second, then nodded and left. When the door closed, I reopened the transaction log. I created a spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, amount. Column C, branch ID. Column D, time. Column E, distance from residence. January 6, 2:14 p.m., 4.2 miles. January 18, 11:32 a.m., 19.7 miles. February 2nd, 3:08 p.m., 4.2 miles. The withdrawals alternated locations, not random, deliberate spacing. I added another column, column F, Ethan's known work schedule. On January 18th at 11:32 a.m., he had logged a delivery in North Jersey, approximately 22 miles from branch 2210. Close enough to overlap, not proof, just alignment. At 2:03 p.m., my mother knocked lightly on the office door. They emailed me a form, she said. Authorization confirmation. Digital access update. The document required her to confirm whether she personally requested account linkage expansion on April 2nd. She looked at me. I don't remember requesting that. Did anyone sit with you at a computer? I asked. She thought carefully. Ethan helped me set up online statements one night. After dinner. You had a migraine. What time? Late. After 10. I wrote that down. The clock read 2:17 p.m. My account remained frozen. Her account now frozen. The review window extended to 3 weeks. The system was no longer looking at isolated withdrawals. It was mapping relationships. At 4:42 p.m., a final notification arrived for the day. Safe deposit access log, inquiry pending. I had not requested that, which meant someone else had. I checked the historical entries. 2 accesses in the last year, one on February 10th, one on March 22nd, both during business hours, both logged under joint authorization. I stared at the screen for several seconds. I had not visited the safe deposit box in over a year. The light outside shifted toward evening. The house felt unusually quiet. 3 days ago, my balance read $47,850.16 and nothing else seemed unstable. Now, my account restricted, my mother's savings restricted, $125,320 under exposure review, 17-page addendum under question, safe deposit activity flagged. No accusations had been made. No one had raised their voice. Everything was procedural. Structured withdrawals under $10,000, an $18,400 wire, a digital modification at 11:43 p.m. secondary email token. I closed the laptop slowly. From the kitchen, I heard my mother moving dishes into the sink, trying to sound normal. Upstairs, the hallway remained still. The system was expanding, and this time it wasn't just my account under review. It was my family, frozen, extended, pending. I did not confront anyone, not Ethan, not my mother, not the bank. On the 4th morning, after both accounts were restricted, I opened a new spreadsheet. 26 transactions, 90 days. I entered them manually from the statements I had already archived last fall. Date, amount, location code, processing time, authorization channel. The amounts were consistent in a way that felt engineered. $9,720, $9,850, $9,640, $9,780, always below $10,000. Never repeating exactly. Never round. The pattern was not obvious in isolation. It became obvious in clusters. Between January 6th and March 28th, there were 11 withdrawals under the internal reporting threshold. 3 occurred within 48 hours of each other. 2 were processed from a branch 19.7 miles from our house. The rest were logged within a 5-mile radius. I added another column, Ethan's delivery schedule. His business, Whitmore Logistics LLC, maintained dispatch records. I still had shared calendar visibility. On January 18th at 11:32 a.m., he had a confirmed pickup 22 miles north of branch 2210. On February 2nd at 3:08 p.m., his route ended less than 4 miles from the secondary withdrawal location. That did not prove origin. It established proximity. I printed the spreadsheet and placed it beside the 17-page compliance addendum uploaded to the portal. Page 4 held my mother's signature dated April 2nd at 11:43 p.m. I compared it to 3 older signatures, one from her 2021 property sale, one from a December medical consent form, and one from a beneficiary update dated March 14th of last year. The baseline signature had a consistent upward slant and firm downward pressure on the final letter. The April 2nd signature drifted slightly downward. The closing stroke was lighter, almost hesitant. It was subtle. Most people would not see it. I scanned both versions and overlaid them digitally. The spacing between first and last name differed by approximately 3 millimeters. Not dramatic, just inconsistent. At 10:14 a.m., I accessed the safe deposit entry logs again. 2 entries in the past year. February 10th at 2:21 p.m., March 22nd at 12:46 p.m., both recorded as joint authorization access. My key had not left the drawer in my office. Ethan had a duplicate. I did not ask him about it. Instead, I retrieved the envelope stored in the back of the safe deposit file cabinet at home. It contained photocopies of bond certificates my father left to my mother. Face value, $38,000. They were not part of the frozen accounts. They were intact, which meant the safe deposit visits were not about bonds. At 1:32 p.m., I reviewed the flagged $18,400 wire. Originating account, business sub-account ending in 4421. Destination, a vendor labeled Ridgeway Equipment. Processing timestamp, March 14th, 4:57 p.m. I searched the state registry. Ridgeway Equipment LLC had been incorporated 14 months earlier. Registered agent address matched a shared office complex in Newark. The managing member's last name was Whitmore, not Ethan, but his cousin, Mark Whitmore. I did not react. I added the entity to the spreadsheet. Column G, related parties. The joint exposure review had listed $125,320 as potential liability cluster. I recalculated the flagged withdrawals and the wire transfer total. Combined with 2 internal transfers from my mother's account, totaling $14,600, the number approached $124,910, within $410 of the system's exposure estimate. The bank was not guessing, they were aggregating. At 3:05 p.m., I called Daniel Hargrove. He had handled my father's estate in 2020 and still practiced financial compliance law. I need a review, I said. Not representation yet. Is this civil or criminal exposure? He asked. Undetermined. I emailed him 3 documents, the spreadsheet, the addendum, and the transaction cluster summary. He called back at 4:18 p.m. There's a reporting trigger here, he said. Structured withdrawals under $10,000 over a short window can activate internal SAR review. I understand. What concerns me, he continued, is the device authorization change at 11:43 p.m. That's late for institutional processing. It verified in 6 minutes, I said. That's fast. He paused. If someone added a secondary authentication channel tied to a business account, exposure could cascade across linked profiles. It already has, I replied. Do not confront anyone yet, he said. Request full documentation first. Specifically, request confirmation of device IDs used during the flagged transactions and the internal routing log tied to the March 14th wire. I already have partial device data, I said. Silence on the line for half a second. You were expecting this, he observed. I was expecting irregularities, I said carefully. That evening, Ethan returned home at 6:27 p.m. He placed his keys on the counter and asked if the bank had contacted us again. Not today, I said. He nodded, removed his jacket, and went upstairs. I watched his reflection in the hallway mirror for a moment longer than necessary. At 8:12 p.m., I drafted a formal request through the bank's secure portal. Request for complete transaction device log request for signature authentication audit request for wire routing verification. March 14th. I kept the language neutral. No accusations, no theories. At 8:26 p.m., the portal confirmed receipt. The system timestamp mattered. Documentation creates a timeline. Timelines create clarity. Before shutting down my laptop, I returned once more to the 26 transactions. When plotted visually, the amounts formed a staggered ladder just beneath the $10,000 threshold. Not random spending, not emergency withdrawals. Engineered spacing, engineered timing. 3 days ago, my account was frozen at $47,850. Today, the numbers were aligning around something larger. I closed the spreadsheet and placed the printed pages into a folder labeled April Review. No confrontation, no announcement, just documentation. The reversal was not visible yet, but it was measurable. Mr. Raymond Cole did not look surprised when I asked for a formal review meeting. He scheduled it for 9:30 a.m., 5 business days after my documentation request. The email confirmation included one additional name, Lena Brooks, Compliance Investigations. Ethan insisted on attending. My mother did not. The conference room was the same one where my account had first been restricted at $47,850. The lighting was neutral. The glass walls reflected the lobby behind us. Nothing about the space suggested escalation. Mr. Cole entered first, carrying a slim black folder. Lena Brooks followed with a tablet and a printed packet secured by a binder clip. Ethan leaned back slightly in his chair, controlled but alert. I placed my folder on the table and waited. Mr. Cole began. Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for your patience during the review process. We've completed preliminary aggregation on the flag transactions. He slid a single sheet forward. Total structured withdrawals, 11 time window, 90 days. Associated wire, $18,400. Exposure estimate, $125,320. No emphasis in his tone, just facts. Lena tapped her tablet. We also completed device authentication tracing tied to the April 2nd authorization change, she said. Ethan shifted slightly. Mr. Cole continued. The secondary email token added at 11:43 p.m. was verified from a device ID associated with Whitmore Logistics, LLC. Ethan straightened. That's my business account. It's separate. Not fully, Lena replied. The authentication channel linked personal and business profiles at the routing layer. I did not interrupt. Mr. Cole turned a page. Of the 26 transactions under review, 19 originated from IP addresses matching your business network. Ethan's jaw tightened. That's impossible. I wasn't withdrawing cash for my business. We're not asserting purpose, Lena said evenly. We're identifying origin. I opened my folder and slid forward 3 documents. A printed timeline of the 90-day cluster, a signature comparison overlay, the safe deposit access log. I believe these will assist, I said. Mr. Cole examined the signature overlay first. You're questioning authorization validity? He asked. I'm questioning consistency, I replied. Lena leaned forward slightly. We conducted an internal signature verification yesterday. The April 2nd document scored below standard variance thresholds. Ethan looked at her sharply. What does that mean? It means, she said calmly, that further authentication is required. Silence settled over the table. Mr. Cole moved to the safe deposit log. February 10th and March 22nd, he read. Access recorded under joint authorization. I did not attend those entries, I said. Ethan inhaled slowly. I may have accessed documents related to my business. With a joint key? Lena asked. That box contains family documents, he replied. It contains bond certificates and estate paperwork, I said quietly. Mr. Cole looked between us. Mr. Whitmore, did you access the box alone? Ethan paused half a second too long. I don't recall exactly. Lena tapped her tablet again. Security footage confirms solo entry on both dates. The air in the room did not change, but something structural did. Mr. Cole turned to the final page in his folder. Mrs. Whitmore, your formal request for full routing verification on the March 14th wire has been completed. He slid the document toward me. Origin, Whitmore Logistics, Subaccount Intermediary Node, Ridgeway Equipment, LLC. Final routing. Confirmation, internal loopback, 48 hours loopback. Funds transferred out and returned through a secondary clearing path. Ethan's voice remained controlled. That's standard vendor processing. It is not, Lena said. She rotated the tablet so all of us could see. The managing member of Ridgeway Equipment is Mark Whitmore. The account was opened 14 months ago with an initial deposit of $6,000. Subsequent deposits correspond with the structured withdrawal cluster. Ethan's posture shifted subtly forward. That's my cousin. He runs equipment leasing. Mr. Cole's tone did not change. Mr. Whitmore, 8 of the 11 structured withdrawals were redeposited into Ridgeway within 72 hours. No one raised their voice. No one accused. The numbers did that. Lena continued. The joint exposure estimate of $125,320 reflects potential internal transfer cycling designed to avoid reporting thresholds. Ethan looked at me then. For the first time since the initial freeze, his confidence was not complete. You thought I did this? He asked. I requested documentation, I said. Mr. Cole closed his folder. Effective immediately. The restriction on Mrs. Whitmore's primary account will be lifted pending final review. The freeze will instead extend to Whitmore Logistics subaccount ending in 4421 and any related entities under common control. Ethan's breath stalled slightly. You can't just freeze my business. We can, Lena replied, under aggregated exposure risk guidelines. The power shift was procedural, not dramatic. My account, release initiated within 24 hours. My mother's account. Review adjusted to protected status. Business sub-account. Restricted pending investigation. Mr. Cole looked directly at Ethan. We will require you to remain available for additional documentation requests. Failure to comply may result in external referral. The phrase was neutral. External referral. No threats. Just sequence. Ethan sat back slowly. This is a misunderstanding, he said. It may be, Lena answered. That determination will be evidence-based. I gathered my papers. No victory, no speech, just confirmation. As we stood to leave, Mr. Cole added one final sentence. Mrs. Whitmore, your early documentation request accelerated this review by approximately 14 business days. I understand, I said. Outside the conference room, the lobby looked unchanged. Customers waited in line. Screens displayed muted financial news. 3 days after my account was frozen at $47,850, my mother's account had followed. Now the freeze had moved again. Not emotionally, not loudly, procedurally. The system had not attacked randomly. It had followed the numbers, and the numbers had changed direction. The release notice did not come with an apology. It came as a formal adjustment letter at 8:42 a.m. Restriction removed. Funds available within 24 hours. My balance returned to $47,850 by the end of the day. At 2:17 p.m., a second update appeared inside the secure portal. My mother's account status had shifted from restricted to protected review. Outbound transfers disabled. Inbound deposits permitted. Monitoring tier elevated. No explanation. Just classification. At 4:03 p.m., Daniel called. They've escalated the business account to external reporting, he said. That means the internal review confirmed structured movement. Timeline? I asked. Preliminary filing within 7 days. Full documentation within 30. I wrote the dates down. On May 2nd, exactly 11 months after the secondary authentication channel had been added to our joint profile, the bank issued a formal affidavit summary. 17 pages. Page 6 outlined the withdrawal cluster, 11 transactions under $9,800 over 90 days. Page 9 detailed the March 14th wire of $18,400 routed through Ridgeway Equipment. Page 12 confirmed 8 redeposits within 72 hours to the same entity. Page 15 addressed signature inconsistency on the April 2nd authorization change. The language was measured, it did not accuse, it documented. At 10:11 a.m. the following Monday, Lena Brooks requested one final in-person verification. Not for me, for my mother. We met in a smaller office this time. Mrs. Whitmore, Lena said gently, did you knowingly grant expanded transaction authority to your son-in-law on April 2nd at 11:43 p.m.? My mother hesitated. I signed something he emailed me, she said. He told me it was to streamline bill payments. Were you informed that it linked your account exposure to a business sub-account? No. Lena made a notation. That single answer closed the loop. On May 14th, the bank issued reimbursement of $6,320, categorized as provisional loss coverage tied to internal transfer cycling. The amount reflected processing fees and temporary liquidity impact during the freeze window. It was not framed as damages. It was framed as correction. My account held $54,170 by close of business that day. Whitmore Logistics, sub-account ending in 4421, remained restricted. On May 18th, Ethan received formal notice requesting appearance for compliance interview regarding aggregated exposure of $125,320. The language included the phrase, potential structuring pattern. He read the letter at the kitchen counter. This doesn't prove intent, he said. It proves movement, I replied. He did not argue. By May 28th, Ridgeway Equipment, LLC had been flagged for inactive status pending review. State registry updates reflected temporary suspension. Mark Whitmore's name no longer appeared as managing member. None of it happened publicly. No dramatic exits. Just documents adjusting positions. My mother's attorney filed a limited revocation of transactional authority on June 3rd. Effective immediately. Not retroactive. Protective. Daniel reviewed the final bank memorandum with me on June 12th. Your early documentation, he said, reduced personal exposure to 0 before escalation. I assumed the pattern would surface, I said. You assumed correctly. On June 21st, exactly 99 days after the initial freeze at $47,850, I received written confirmation that I was cleared of all suspicious activity review flags. Internal risk score normalized. Monitoring tier returned to standard. The letter contained one sentence that mattered. No evidence supports account holder initiation of structured transactions. That was sufficient. Ethan moved out on July 1st. There was no confrontation about the numbers. The numbers had already concluded the conversation. My mother's accounts remained separated and insulated. Two-factor authentication reset. Physical token issued. No joint overlays. By August 4th, Federal Review status had been assigned to the business sub-account. I was not copied on further correspondence. I did not request to be. 3 days after my account had been frozen, my mother's account followed. 99 days later, the freeze had moved again. Not emotionally, not symbolically, procedurally. The system did not react to words. It reacted to clusters, to timestamps, to routing paths, to signatures that drifted 3 millimeters lower than baseline. Silence was never the absence of action. It was the space where documentation builds. On September 14th, I logged into my account at 7:02 a.m., balance steady, no flags, no alerts. The number on the screen was ordinary again, $54,170. I closed the laptop. Some people believe vindication arrives loudly. It does not. It arrives as a cleared status, a corrected ledger, and a letter that states facts without emotion. 3 days after they froze my account, they froze my mother instead. 99 days later, the system corrected itself. I never needed to raise my voice. I just needed the numbers to finish speaking.